Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. So I've decided to start a new channel, and I'm going to be talking mainly about the Chinese economy and also the Western economy as well, and how they're both linked and interconnected. Also going to be talking about all the decoupling that's going on as well. So it's quite interesting topics I'm going to be talking about. So make sure you like, subscribe, and do the stuff that you normally do. I really appreciate it. So let's talk about US wheat. So last week or last couple of weeks, you can see from the title here, China has never cancelled this many shipments of US wheat. And you can see on the 8th of March, they cancelled 240k. Over 500,000 tons have been announced since last week. So 250k tons, and on the 15th of March, they cancelled another 264k tons of wheat, and totaling, like I said, 500,000 tons that China has cancelled from the US. So all this decoupling that's going on that US is trying to do with China, they're trying to cancel TikTok and other kind of companies like EV companies, solar companies and stuff like that. But China is also doing the same. They're also trying to decouple from the US. And one of the major things that US sells to China is wheat or agricultural products. And China has been a major buyer of agriculture, wheat, soybeans from the US. They have been major buyers for more than like a decade, since the 1980s, let's just say. So American farmers have been making huge amounts of money selling agriculture to China. Mainly because food security to the Chinese is probably number one priority for the Chinese. Mainly goes down mainly because of the history. China dealt with a lot of famines in its history and stuff. So food security is very important, and they have been kind of buying a lot from the US, mainly because US had a monopoly when it comes to agriculture throughout, probably the best in the world at one point. However, things are changing now. China is starting to diversify, and they are buying a lot more agriculture, wheat and other soybeans and things like that from other countries, namely Brazil. They've been buying loads of agriculture from there. They've started buying it from Argentina, although I'm not sure how long that's going to last because of Millie. But they're also buying it from South Africa, other BRICS countries, for example, like South Africa and other Middle Eastern countries. They're buying it from. But their main kind of supplier of agricultural goods is actually Russia. So Russia is providing China with a lot of wheat and soybeans and stuff. This year Russia has had a bumper year when it comes to agriculture, and as you know, Russia has taken over some very they call it the kind of parts of Ukraine, which is the east part of Ukraine, like Donbass and Donetsk parts. Those parts of Ukraine are very good when it comes to growing wheat. They have black soil, and black soil produces the best quality agricultural products, wheat and things like that, in the world. So Russia has managed to have a bumper year because of Donetsk and Donbass, and they are providing all of that stuff to China. So there's lots of main reasons why China is cancelling all these wheats from the USA. And number one reason they're buying it from Russia is because they don't have to use US dollars. So they can trade with Russia using yuan mainly, or even the ruble. And that's fine because they can trade with each other. They both use each other's currencies. Russia uses the yuan more than the dollar in Russia because they've been sanctioned to hell. So yuan is their number one foreign currency in Russia. So Russia's happily, very happy to buy stuff in yuan. This is the Chinese yuan I'm talking about, yuan, the renminbi, other people call it. And also China is also happy to kind of build its foreign reserves in rubles as well, because they can use these rubles to buy Russian oil, Russian gas. So there's no, it's like a match made in heaven. They're both countries joined together with a massive border, and they can trade with each other. They don't have to use the dollar. It doesn't have to go through the SWIFT system as well. So all of this stuff is non-trackable. US has no idea what kind of trade Russia's doing with China, and China's happy with that, and Russia's happy with that. So Russia is their main supplier when it comes to agriculture, and this is one of the reasons why China has been able to cancel so many wheat orders. But there are other reasons as well, which I'm going to go through as well. So the second reason is China is able to kind of trade more with its neighbors because of the Belt and Road. So you got the Belt and Road railway line, which goes through China, which goes all the way through Xinjiang and goes through Central Asia. And there's a lot of Central Asian countries which have started their agricultural products over the past few years, and because of the Belt and Road, they're able to transport these agricultural goods and products to China much more easily. So countries like Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan have increased their agricultural products, and they're basically transporting these goods via the Belt and Road into China as well. And also other Southeast Asian countries who are connected to China are also have improved their farming products, farming agricultural stuff, and they're also transporting it to China as well. So namely Laos, there's a high-speed rail going from China all the way to Laos. So there's a lot of business going on between Laos and China, and Laos is a very heavy agricultural country, so they are basically selling lots of agricultural goods to China. Malaysia is one of them, Vietnam, so Thailand even. So there's a lot of trade going on between the RCEP countries, Belt and Road countries, Central Asian countries, and also other countries like Southern Asia. We're talking about countries like Pakistan. There's a CPEC line that goes through Pakistan, and Pakistan has increased its agricultural produce as well over the past few years. They are selling it to China, and also Afghanistan and Iran as well. Afghanistan, they are building train links to China, and Afghanistan has basically stopped producing opium, and now they're basically doing a lot of farming. There's farms and agricultural farmlands happening all over Afghanistan now. And Afghanistan, they're building a canal that goes through northern Afghanistan, and this canal basically provides water to a lot of agricultural fields in Afghanistan. So they managed to sell a lot of these agricultural products to China. Pakistan is also doing the same. Iran is also doing the same. So basically, the bottom line is China is more trading with its neighbors and also other BRICS countries and also South American countries, rather than just relying on USA. And this 500,000 tons that you're looking at, this is going to increase over the next few years as well, which I'm going to explain a bit more. So number 3 reason why China's basically divesting from the US and cancelling orders is mainly because of agricultural products. I'm talking about, agricultural like tractors and technology. So in the past, America used to have all of the technology when it comes to agriculture. So they used to have all the latest, tractors and technologies and drones and all sorts of stuff that you need to produce basically goods from a farms. You need all the kind of latest technology and stuff, machinery and stuff. But now China produces these machineries very, very cheap compared to United States. So they're able to sell these machinery to their local neighbors, like their Belt and Road partners, BRICS partners, even Russia as well. And this is why the agricultural produce that's been produced in these countries are improving. So these countries can now produce just as good, if not better, agricultural products because they've got the right machinery and stuff like that. And China produces all of these machinery very, very cheap. So they're having to, basically sell a lot of these produce machinery, and a lot of countries are now catching up to United States when it comes to farming. So that's another reason. Another reason I'm going to be kind of talking about, which is probably one of the most important reasons, is China is also developing its own agricultural fields. So in the past, China had a major problem. Basically, they had too much water in the south of China, and the northern part of China and also the western part of China is very, very dry. They don't have much water or precipitation, so it became very, very difficult for China to kind of have a very good agricultural kind of soil to kind of feed its own people. And it's one of the reasons they import a lot of agricultural goods, because they don't have enough grazing soil for their own needs. So, basically agriculture has become China's number one priority. So they have been working tirelessly to fix this problem. So one of the ways they've fixed this problem is they've got this south to north water diversion project. So where a lot of the water that gets flooded in the southern part of China, that gets transferred as part of this project. And this is $1 trillion project, by the way. And there's 3 routes. There's the eastern route, the central route, and the western route, which hasn't started yet. But the eastern and central route are still ongoing at the moment. They're still being worked on. So they are basically... So that water gets transferred all the way from southern China all the way to northern China. And this is a huge deal. This means that previously, when they couldn't really have much farmlands in the northern part of China because they were basically didn't have much water, there was a lot of drought. Now they can. So there's huge amounts of millions and millions of acres of farmlands are now just cropping up all over China, all over northern China. And you can see from kind of all the reports coming out of China, plus satellite pictures, and these areas are becoming green, and millions and millions of acres of them, because they've got plenty of water now. And obviously this project is not finished yet. I think it's due to finish by 2050. So this is still ongoing. They're still they're building links, pointing to different kind of rivers and lakes, and replenishing lots of kind of rivers and lakes in northern China. And so it's basically being transferred. They basically want some sort of system where it's like a power grid, but they're going to have it like with a water grid. So if one part of China is lacking water, it gets water will be transferred to that part of China, etc. So they want to make a huge water grid all over China, and this is kind of the start. So this is still ongoing. Like I said, it's going to finish by 2050. But already, as it stands, they're already providing water to almost like 200 million people. And by the time they finish, it'll probably provide water to 700 or 800 million people. And there's a lot of water basically that's going to be going around China. There's lots more agricultural land that's going to be popping up. There's one particular area in China called Gansu. And Gansu province is in the middle of China, and it's very, very dry. And China not only has been kind of providing water to these areas, but they've also been desertifying that area as well. So since the 80s, 90s, 2000, there have been people growing kind of plants and trees and forests all over China. And now used to be kind of forest coverage used to be around 12% or something ridiculous around 1970s or something like that. Now they've more than doubled it. Now it's gone up to like 24%. And even NASA is confirming from satellite images that China is becoming more and more green. So there's people out there who are kind of planting lots of trees and plants all over China. And I believe this is kind of a rule that the governments have, it's like a law that governments have kind of pushed through to the Chinese, that every single person has to do their bit and kind of plant a tree or something. Even if you can't plant a tree, but you can, there's an app that you can go on to, and you can basically pay someone to plant that tree for you. So it's basically everyone's got obligation to plant a tree in China. And it's worked wonders, because there's so many areas in China now it's turning green, and they are desertifying that area. The desert was basically covering more and more of China in the 80s and 90s, but now it's receding. Now it's becoming less and less, because there's parts of China becoming absolutely green. So that's one thing. And obviously to kind of build plants and trees, you need a lot of water as well, because trees take in a lot of water. They need a lot of water. Plants need a lot of water. So this southern to northern water transfer is very, very important. So this is what's happening to China at the moment. So this is why agriculture is improving in China. They are trading more with its neighbors. They are building better machinery, and also science as well. China has basically managed to kind of scientifically be able to, de-desertify sand and turn it into soil as well. They're finding new techniques to basically build trees and forests and stuff like that. So technologically, China is becoming more and more better when it comes to agriculture. And also some of the rivers and lakes are becoming less and less polluted as well. Previously, because China was industrializing in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of factories that were kind of polluting the rivers and lakes all over China, basically. The factories are popping up all over China. But for the past 10 years or so, China's made a big effort to reduce pollution around cities. There was a time when Beijing used to be covered in smog and all the rivers were polluted and stuff like that. But now the Yangtze River and stuff like that is becoming cleaner by the day. The skies around Beijing are very, very clear. So they're making a huge effort to go green and basically gain rid of polluting factories and things like that. So all of these factors make an effort, because if you have polluted water, you can't really grow any trees or farmlands, because the water's polluted. So soil becomes polluted, and you can't really grow much with it. But now waters are becoming cleaner. China's basically cleaning up their water systems and lakes and rivers, and farming is becoming much, much easier. So this is why farms are now popping up all over China now, and which is a good thing for China. And I'm gonna also probably got a couple more other reasons as well why China's cancelling these orders. The next thing is the high-speed rail that China's been building all over China. So you have the high-speed rail links going around all over China. I think there's around 50,000 kilometers worth of basically rail going all throughout China, linking all the major cities, even small cities and stuff. And this is really good news for rural environments, because now farmers can produce their goods and transfer their goods all over China, and which previously they could not. So, like if you were in a rural like city in China 20, 30 years ago, you would basically feed your own village and stuff, but you wouldn't be able to sell to the rest of China because there wouldn't be any links to the rest of China. There's no trains, and you'd be in the middle of a mountain range, and it would be very, very difficult to kind of sell your produce to other parts of China. But now China has been able to build tunnels and bridges throughout all the major cities, and even through mountains and all some of the really, really like difficult places to reach. They've managed to kind of find roads and railways to link them. And now farmers can sell their produce all around China, which is why China is becoming more self-sufficient compared to like 20, 30 years ago, which they couldn't. So now, China's focusing on building up their own agricultural fields and farmlands, and they're also using a lot of technology as well. They managed to find ways to grow like rice in salted water, for example. They also like building artificial lakes in the desert. In Xinjiang, for example, they have like fish farms in the desert. So they're using a lot of their technology to increase yields and stuff. And so that's another major reason why China's cancelling these goods. But probably the final and the most important thing is, mainly down to them becoming more self-sufficient. They do not want to rely on the West or America because it's too dangerous for them. I mean, look what US is doing with TikTok. You look what the US is doing with Huawei. One day US might decide, oh, you know what, we're not going to sell you any wheat or food. We're going to let your people starve. And they would probably do that. I mean, look what's happening to Palestine. They're letting millions of people starve. They don't really care. It's all about money, and it's all about control, power, etc. So if they can starve the Chinese people, they would, if they get a chance. So this is why China wants to kind of rely on itself. They don't want to rely on the West, especially not now. So China is relying on itself, relying on friendly countries, relying on its neighbors, partners, relying on its own infrastructure, own technology, own farmlands. And this is why China's getting rid of all these wheat cancellations from the United States. If you can think of any other reasons, let me know, and let me know what you think of this video and what you think of China's cancellations from the US. Is it a good thing or is it bad? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.